Hi folks, Hugo Rivera here with HugoRivera.net and also HugoRiveraRealEstate.com if you're interested in my real estate page. Over here we're going to be covering today the top 5 tips for lowering belly fat because I've been getting a lot of questions about this, and let's go ahead and get that topic cooked so you know how to do this. First and foremost, let's go ahead and clarify the fact that if you want to lose belly fat, you gotta lose body fat all over the body because there's no way yet to spot reduce. Hopefully in the future we come across the magic pill. For the time being, we gotta work with what we have. No such thing for now. So believe it or not, a lot of people still think that the best way to lose fat and gain muscle is to go to the gym 2 to 3 hours a day. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Actually, most fortunately, that is not the case because we don't have to enslave ourselves forever at the gym. The reality of the situation is that what you need is at the most 45 to 60 minutes. Okay, the reason we want to go ahead and keep our workout shorts is because after 60 minutes, especially, your cortisol levels, which is the hormone that is secreted by the adrenal glands in response to stress. The adrenal glands are on top of your kidneys. Cortisol is going to go ahead and do the exact opposite of what you're looking to do. So if you want to go ahead and lose fat and gain muscle, cortisol is going to do muscle cannibalizing. It's going to eat your muscle at the most basic level. That's what happens, and it's going to protect your fat. Okay, because the body thinks that there's an emergency going on, so it's going to go into emergency mode. Okay, gaining muscle and losing fat is not a priority for the body. The priority for the body is survival. So we gotta set up a system that works with the body as opposed to against it. Okay. With that said, 45 to 60 minutes. What type of exercise? Well, for those of you who know me, I'm gonna be recommending weight training exercise, of course. Periodized weight training. So you have periods of 3 weeks where you're doing higher repetitions, tons of supersets, tons of giant sets, really getting that heart rate going, getting a ton of cardiovascular work through the weight training, so that you get that growth hormone going and you keep the testosterone high by stopping between 45 to 60 minutes. In fact, many of my coaching clients in the past, they've done 30 minutes actually of weight training 3 times a week with amazing results. Stuff that back when I started, I would not have believed that if you have the right weight training program, like what I talk about in body reengineering, where I have like 3 years worth of workouts in that manual, all periodized. If you do the right training, you don't need to train as much, okay? Because it's targeted. You're basically stimulating the body, and once you stimulate, you get out, okay? I think it was Lee Haney who used to say, stimulate, don't annihilate. Oh, I think it was him. So anyways, yeah, I subscribe to that philosophy. 45 to 60 minutes of weight training, again, 3 to 6 days a week. If you're kind of crazy like me, then you do it 7 days. Me, typically, I don't take a day off, and that's just me. I'm just talking about my experience because it's something I love. I don't take a day off till I feel like I need to take a day off, and that depends. Like if I'm really working a lot, like let's say for example, I worked a 16-hour day and didn't get a lot of sleep, missed a little bit of water intake and things like that, I may go ahead and just take the next day off. Well, that day off, I'm sorry. But you don't have to be like me. I do it, like I said, it's something I love. 3 to 6 times, it's more than enough, okay? The other part of the equation, of course, is the nutrition. If you're not following the proper nutrition, that's going to go ahead and impact your ability to lose body fat, right? Again, it's all about balance, right? If you go on a highly restrictive plan, your body, again, is going to go ahead and release the cortisol levels, and then guess what? It's going to go ahead and retain that body fat because it's like, it's protecting you from dying, basically. So that's the way that it does it. So we got to work with it. We got to negotiate. It's kind of like in real estate, right? If we have a If we have a seller that has an amazing house and it's well priced, it's priced according to what the market is doing, and you come with a lowball offer, well, the seller is going to tell you to pound sand. Same thing with the body. The body is going to tell you, listen, buddy, I like you a lot, I really do, but this is not going to work, and you're not going to lose any body fat. So what do? You got to feed yourself properly. How does that look? Again, I cover all this in detail in my body reengineering, and I'll go ahead and be putting the link as soon as I publish the video. But suffice it to say, it looks like 1 gram per pound of body weight in terms of carbs. That's if you are below like 12% body fat, okay? If you're below that, then you can do this. If you are above 0.8, should do. So 0.8 grams to 1 gram per pound. So if you're 200 pounds and say you're like below 12% body fat, you'll be doing 200 grams of carbs, okay? Same thing with the protein. 200 grams of protein if you're 200 pounds and you're at 12% body fat or below. And then for fats, you're gonna do 0.3 grams per pound, okay? So you would take the 200, I think that's 66 grams, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and double check. And let's see. No, sorry. I'm thinking 0.33. So what am I doing? As you can see, I lost some sleep last night. I was actually studying some real estate stuff is what I was doing. 60 grams. That should have been simple. So anyways, 200 times 0.3 is 60 grams of fats per day. And what you do is that you would split these up, as evenly as you can throughout the day, over 5 meals. So that means that every single one of my meals would have around 40 grams of carbs, 40 grams of protein. And then in terms of fats, 60 divided by 5, you're looking at like 12 grams of fat per meal. Okay, super important that you consume your fats. If you don't consume your fats, believe me, your body will go into, again, a state where cortisol is being released, and then you're not going to be able to do what you want to do in terms of losing the body fat and gaining the muscle. Okay, balance is everything. So again, the good carbs, of course, you gotta have carbs from like brown rice, from like sweet potatoes. White potatoes are good too. I'm not against white rice either, so you can have that. Oatmeal, I'm sensitive to the oatmeal. Me personally, if it has gluten in it, so gluten-free oatmeal for me. If you're not sensitive, that's cool. You can have the old-fashioned oats. Those are some good sources of carbs, good sources of protein. You have chicken, you have turkey, you have lean red beef, you have salmon, which has the omega-3s, of course. I make sure that I take, by the way, a couple of tablespoons of fish oils, Carlson fish oils. So, that gives me 2 of the servings of my fats throughout the day. The rest of the fats, I typically get them from coconut oil. I cook my chicken in coconut oil, which is great for you. And I also have some of my fats from saturated through whole eggs, which are an excellent source of protein. So I have the whole eggs and the egg whites and make a nice omelet. And there you go. You have your, in my case, 40 grams of protein. I also recommend too that once a week you up the carbs and the proteins too, depending, if you're pretty lean like me. I say up the carbs and the protein, do like 1.5 per pound. Leave the fats the same. They'll go ahead and give you a little metabolic boost right there. Depending on how I feel, because I'm very lean these days, and I'm typically like at 6% all the time these days with body fat. So I may do 2 grams of carbs and 1.5 grams of protein on my high day. But that's just me. If you feel that if you're super lean, you may have to do the same thing. What else do I have? Okay, this is very important. A lot of people are looking to do fat loss. They think cardio is more important. It is not. In fact, I can tell you with my weight training routines, the way that I have them set up, I don't even have people do traditional cardio anymore. With that said, if you want to do traditional cardio because you like it, and I'm not going to go ahead and tell anybody that likes something to not do it, just make sure that you do it wisely. Make sure that if you're gonna go for a whole 45-minute session of cardio, traditional cardio, kind of like steady state, my suggestion would be do maybe like a couple of days of weight training, and then on the third day you go ahead and do your cardio, right? Or if you want to do it on your weight training days, what you can do also is that keep your weight training to like 40 minutes and then do 20 minutes of cardio right after. That works too. Another alternative when it comes to the cardio is that you could also do high intensity cardio. Me personally, for me, that HIT for me didn't hit cardio, didn't work for me very well because I don't know, I go too all out and then I feel like I toast my nervous system. People that do hit in terms of cardio, they do it once or twice a week, which is totally cool. So try it out if it's something that you like and you may excel at it. More power to you. For me, in my experience, it didn't work out, but it doesn't mean that it didn't work out for many of my clients. Many of my clients loved it, and I feel that if you love something, it's great. It's something that you can go ahead and incorporate. But me these days, I haven't touched cardio in a while. My cardiovascular efficiency is really good. Like, I mean, I tried running the other day. That wasn't a problem at all because I do such high reps at the gym during my high rep periods that it kind of negates things, I mean, if you're doing like say 225 20 times and then you're supersetting that with like white grip pull-ups 20 times and you're going back and forth non-stop, believe me, like your cardiovascular system will get built up, so don't worry about it. But anyways, like I said, if you want to incorporate the steady state cardio or the HIIT cardio, you can. You just got to be careful on how you do it, okay? You cannot do like, if you do like say 45 minutes of weight training and 45 minutes of cardio in the same day, then you better split it. And in my experience, what I'm seeing is that unless you're a competitive bodybuilder, of course, and you have a different plan going on and stuff, for most people that are working a lot of hours every single day and whatnot, it's better to just keep the overall training to one session, all between 45 to 60 minutes is what I've noticed. Okay. What else we have? Super important. A lot of people miss this. Losing sleep all the time and being sleep deprived, this is not going to help you. This is in fact going to promote belly fat accumulation because losing sleep is the fastest way, other than starvation and having too much training, of increasing the cortisol levels. If your cortisol levels are high, what's going to happen then is that you're gonna retain fat, and for us guys, it's gonna be a lot over here. For women, it's gonna be not only in the lower stomach but also the hips and the glutes, so we don't want this. We don't want any of this. So get your sleep. Super important, because during sleep is when your cortisol levels go down, your GH and your testosterone levels, they reset themselves and all that. So we don't want to have a situation where lack of sleep is impacting things. Furthermore, there's so much research on the detriment of being constantly sleep deprived, such as less ability to process your carbs, less ability, which of course, down the line could go ahead and lead to hardened arteries, diabetes, and things like that. We don't want cortisol. Too much cortisol in our life is bad. Imbalance, yes, of course we need some cortisol. We need every single hormone, we need it in balance, okay? But if we have cortisol running wild in our system, this is not good for us, so we need to cut that down. So get your sleep, make sure you have like a sleep routine. And what I mean by a sleep routine is that try to make it to where every single day, say, I'm just going to throw some numbers, you adjust to what works best for your schedule, but say that you want to go to bed at 10:30, I would say, kind of like stop doing any kind of like heavy thinking and things like that, like around 9:30 p.m. And start, I have some meditation apps that I'm going to talk about soon over here, so you can go ahead and get into a relaxed state. By the way, none of these apps pay me anything. I'm just sharing from what I'm using, okay? Super important that you turn off all the electronics and things like that, like around at least an hour before, because otherwise that's going to impact your ability to get into a restful sleep. Also, make sure you don't have a meal so close to bedtime. Like, Typically for me, again, an hour before bedtime, I can deal with it. Um, anything, anything a little bit closer, like say 30 minutes, that's gonna impact my ability to fall asleep, for sure. Um, Finally, you gotta reduce your stress, and I'm gonna talk about meditation shortly. You gotta reduce your stress, and stress affects us all. Situations happen, problems happen, they get us stressed. We cannot stop that, but we can stop our reaction to it. What we can do is that instead of focusing on the problem, if you have a problem that pops up, focus on the solution. And focus on the things that you can do. Write a to-do list of things that you can do to tackle that problem. Okay? And you just focus on those. I promise you that if you focus on the things that you can actually do for this problem, and you get guidance on how to solve it, the problem you will be able to get past it. Okay? The worst thing one can do is that a problem pops up and you're just constantly thinking about the problem and thinking about the 1 million possibilities that can happen. That's not good, because that overthinking is just going to go ahead and put you into a really stressed state, and it's not even productive, because you can think of a billion possibilities that could happen with your problem, but that's not solving anything. That's just creating a situation where you're feeling more fear, you're feeling incapable of handling the situation. Instead, just what I do, I shut down emotion. I just look at things. I look at the data. What's the problem based on what created it? How can I solve it? What kind of steps do I need to take to solve them? And I start implementing those steps immediately. That's how I deal with that. The other thing, meditation. And a lot of you are like, oh man, meditation. That's hard. I'm not a monk. Yeah, I know. That was me back when I, heard the word first. I'm like, well, I'm not qualified to do this. But like anything, you start it, you practice it. Practice makes perfect, or at least it makes you become better every single day. Because I think perfection is elusive. I think but you definitely get better and better. We can get closer to perfection in whatever task we do every single day. So I have a couple apps I like for meditation. One of them, I really like this one. It's called Tapping Solution. It's great. And what muscle tapping looks like in a lot of athletes, it's called EFT. It has many names. You can Google it. But muscle tapping looks something like this. You start making some affirmations, and it has some meditation music as well, the app. And then, they give you the affirmations to say in your mind, or you can say them out loud, and then, you're just muscle tapping, which looks really silly. But it goes like that, goes like that. But I'm telling you, this works. Like, you gotta try it out. The Tapping Solution app, actually, I think, if I recall correctly, I think it has like a week free or something like that. In fact, I take that back. I think the Tapping Solution allows you to use many of their meditations for free, but you just don't have access to all the gamut of meditations that they have. Really, really useful app though. The other one I use as well is called Synctuition, which is really cool because Synctuition has some amazing sounds that you just go ahead and put your headset and you listen to them, and this thing just relaxes you in no time. So I use those couple apps every single day. They help me tremendously. If you can only get one, definitely make sure you get the Tapping Solution one, simply because it just helps you with many things, not only with relaxation, it also helps you with different feelings that you may have. Like I'm looking over here, increased healing, inspiration, angry. If you're feeling angry, there's a meditation for that. So I like that. So if you can only get one app, get that one. I'll go ahead and write it down again. But I think it's super important that you do these things. It's super important that you meditate, that you make sure that you're getting your restful sleep, because people don't realize this stuff can go ahead and put you in a state where your cortisol levels are super high, and it's going to be very hard for you not only to operate as a human being, but definitely forget about gaining muscle and losing fat. That's just out of the question, because your body is in a constant emergency mode. Okay, so we've all been there, we've all done that. and I don't wish it upon anybody. So, anyways, with that said, this is crazy. It's been 20 minutes already that I've been doing this, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right there. But I'm wishing you all the best. Again, stay motivated. Until next time, take care and train hard. Goodbye.